Okay, here's a video on biologics. And the key is in the word bio. What do you think that means? As I try to find my pen. Bio, right? Living. So biologics are biological drugs. So let's write that down. Biological drugs. Or pharmaceuticals. They're biopharmaceuticals. So in other words, they're just medicines or medicine made from living organisms. Now, you shouldn't confuse them with natural remedies, like an orange, for example. Let's get a picture of an orange. Or an orange tree, right? All the oranges on the orange tree in Florida or California. So the oranges, they'll give you the vitamin D in the pulp and they'll hydrate you. So they're natural remedies. But biologics, even though they're natural, in a sense, they come from living organisms, they target a specific category. There's a specific response they're trying to eliminate in the individuals, whether it is through insulin resistance that we'll talk about and other forms. And so they can use viruses, even though viruses are not alive, right, because they're acellular. They can use viruses, so viruses are included when they talk about biologics, but also it's fungus and bacteria and other things we'll talk about. And it's not medicines like Advil and Tylenol and aspirin, for example. They're non-biologic because they're made through chemicals. They're chemical synthesis. They're small molecule drugs. So, but with biologics, we're using, again, like I said, bacteria, yeast, and mammalian cells. So let's look at that. If we can take our eyes off these nice, delicious oranges. Let's first look at bacteria and insulin. So we'll just attempt to draw bacteria here. Let's say that's a bacteria and so forth. So we know that in insulin, I'll write it down here, insulin. Insulin is a hormone. It's a chemical messenger. And it's produced in the body. Well, some people have problems producing it. So for example, when you eat, say you eat, and what happens is glucose will enter your bloodstream. So I'll just sum this up. Glucose, it's the primary sugar that the body wants. Glucose enters your bloodstream. From the small intestines after you eat. And the pancreas, I'm simplifying this here, the pancreas will release insulin. And this is very important because you need insulin to attach to all the cells in your body. Remember, you have like 36 trillion cells in your body. You want that insulin to attach itself to the cell so it can let the glucose into your cell. So we'll draw a cell. So we have a little, pretend that's a cell here, and then we have right over here, we'll have the insulin receptor. So basically, we'll change the color. We'll have the insulin will attach itself to the cell and open up, let's say all this is glucose. All this glucose will then enter the cell, and the cells will be happy. So some people, though, they cannot produce enough insulin. And so with genetic engineering and with bacteria, that's where the bacteria comes by, we can manufacture that insulin. So the first step is to isolate the insulin from a protein gene inside of us. And we can take that gene and insert it into the bacteria. And then the bacteria will produce insulin, and from there they can manufacture that in a wider scale, bottle it, and sell insulin. So that's what biologics are. So here's a better picture of it. So And we'll get my pen working. So as you can see here, here's the bacteria. And what they'll do is we'll blow this up over here. They're going to cut a piece of it off. So let's say this piece off here. And then and you can see this red part over here. They're introducing that red part. We'll just make it yellow. Well, we should have made it yellow anyway to begin with, but they make this part right here is that insulin protein that they're going to put onto the bacteria, as you can see here. If we had a better color, you can see it right there. There it is. And then they can manufacture it. They could reproduce to make insulin, and of course they'll bottle it up and send it to people who can't make insulin. That's a biologic. We'll talk about another one, the best-selling. The most used and the best-selling is Humira. So let me write that down. And we'll write it over here. So Humira, biologic, is a monoclonal, key word is clone, monoclonal antibody. And it's used to treat inflammation like arthritis and Crohn's disease. So what it is they clone a specific antibody cell, and they're going to use mice. So before we talked about using bacteria, now we'll use mice. So in mice. And what they'll do in the mice is they'll inject the mice with some kind of protein that will cause inflammation. And what that will do is the mice will produce antibodies. The mice will produce antibodies. And those antibodies will fight that inflammation. Now what the researchers do is that when they're looking at this, they're going to find specific cells that make the best antibodies. Then they're going to copy them, mass produce them, and then use them so they can inject back into humans. So that's basically what biologics are. So just a quick review. Remember, they are biological drugs or biopharmaceuticals, and they're made from living organisms to be injected into humans to help humans out, like we use with insulin and we use with any inflammation like arthritis. All right, that's our video today.